The first component that we are going to discuss about is the trend or the secular trend. So trend is nothing but it is a long-term variation. So you can see in the figure that is given on the screen, there are two sets of data. For each set of data, in the first data, you can see a red color line starting from the top of the curve, slowly moving downwards. Similarly, in the second curve, you can see that another red color line is starting from the bottom of the curve and then slowly moving towards the top along the original data. So the black color curve which are given here are nothing but the original data, whereas this red curve, the red line which is given, forms the trend values. So the long-term trend, that means it tells the data whether it tells us or it gives us the information whether the time series data that we are working upon, is it increasing or decreasing over a long period of time. Please note that it is a long-term variation. It is not just for 1 year. You can see here it is starting from January 1973 to January 1998. So for a long period of time, is it increasing or decreasing? Is my data increasing or decreasing? If you take the data of sales, for example, is my sales increasing or decreasing from the beginning of my business? Since the beginning of my business, um, how has my sales been? There might be variations in between, but on an overall scale, is it increasing or decreasing? That is what I'm going to deal with in detail in this first variation or in the first component called as trend. So you can see here it is long-term variation and then grow or decline over a period of time. The second point is given as the grow or decline. The growth or declination over a period of time of the value of variable that is under consideration is studied using this trend. Then it includes steady movement of a long period of time. See, the inbuilt variations or the inward variations which within the data are not being focused upon whenever we are studying only about trend. The small variations which is occurring within the data is not focused upon, but on an overall basis, is my value of the variable increasing or decreasing? That is what we are focusing upon, and it does not include short range oscillations. So this is all about trend, which is also called as secular trend. The next component is the seasonal variation. As the name itself indicates, it's the seasonal component. So you can see that whenever you plot a time series data, sometimes you'll come across this kind of data. That means there is a rise and fall being observed within 1 year. See, 1981 to 1982, it started with a rise, then there is a downfall, and then again rising. Again, 1982 to 1983, the same pattern is being repeated. The pattern might be slightly different, as in the curves are not exactly equal, but then there is a rise and fall, and then again rise. This pattern is being repeated for every year. Okay, that kind of data is said to be a seasonal data. That means within a period of an year, there is some kind of variation which is repeating itself for every year. For example, the seasons that we have in our climate. Okay, during the month of maybe from April and May. Okay, April and May, we experience summer season. That April and May, I mean, every year during the month of April and May, we get to experience summer season, isn't it? Similarly, immediately after summer season, slowly comes the rainy season, and then comes. So this patterns are being repeating all the for every year. So such repetitive or regular pattern which are repeating over a period of 12 months are called as a seasonal variation. So you can see here these are due to rhythmic forces which operate in a regular and periodic manner over a period of 12 months, which is less than a year. We have to remember this point because the next variation, cyclic variation, also will be very similar to seasonal variation. So you have to remember this point of 12 months. And it has the same pattern almost every year. You can see here that the pattern is not changing. There's a rise, fall, rise. Again, fall, rise, fall, rise. Within every year, so from here to here, it is considered as 1 year. There is a from the top, it is just falling down and then again rising up. Again, from here to here, the same pattern. It is falling down and then rising up. So you can see that every year it is repeating uh, in the same way, in the same manner. That is why it is said to be a seasonal variation. Now, the causes of seasonal variation can be from natural forces or from man-made conventions. From natural forces, when I say, it is due to various seasons. Okay, when naturally it occurs, it is said to be a seasonal variation from the natural forces. For example, those various seasons that we experience. It is not in the hands of a human that to control these seasons. It happens naturally in our climate. So those are from natural sources, and from man-made conventions include some seasons like wedding seasons or maybe during festivals. So these are man-made conventions, and it changes from one place to another place, and from one religion to another religion, or from one region to another region. There can be many differences. Okay, so these are from man-made conventions. So the wedding season might be in the month of July in 1 year, and maybe in the month of August in another year. But these are some man-made beliefs or conventions because of which the seasonal variations occur. So during these seasons, the sales go rise up, and during some of the seasons, when there are not many festivals happening or when there are not many weddings happening, the seasons fall, the sales fall down. So those are from man-made conventions. From natural forces, when I'm talking about, it is like the sales of you know, mm, maybe ice creams. The sales of ice creams, if I consider if that is my value of variable, we'll definitely see a rise in the sales of ice creams during the summer season, and during winter or rainy season, there will be a downfall of the sales. So that is used with respect to the seasonal variations. Next one comes cyclic variations. When we are talking about cyclic variations, these variations take place, it is very similar to a seasonal variation, but the time period is greater than 1 year. We have seen in seasonal variation that the time period is considered to be less than 12 months. That is within a period of 12 months. But the same pattern, if it happens for greater than 1 year, it is said to be a cyclic variation. So it occurs due to ups and downs recurring after a period greater than 1 year. For example, a very common example that we can take is a business cycle. So there are four phases in the business cycle. First one is prosperity, then recession, depression, and then recovery. So from a point zero, our business would start, and in the beginning, we'll put our heart and soul into it, and the uh, we must have researched a lot about the business, and we would have started it. So slowly there will be a rise. So this period is said to be the period of rising is said to be the period of prosperity, or the phase of prosperity. Now, after reaching a certain stage, we tend to experience some kind of recession. Maybe for a few years you have been prospering well, and there might be many reasons for the recession. Now it can be some other competing um, firm coming across, and then uh, you know they might come up with a better business plan or something, or they might give new offers or something, and our customers might shift from our business to their business. So their causes are recession. That is slowly we'll be experiencing a downfall. And even when we come across a point where we where we experience downfall below the investment range, then that period is called as depression. Now after reaching a depression stage, we will definitely, since we are running into a loss, we will definitely try to come up with some kind of recovery methods, and using those recovery methods again our business would rise. So this would definitely this complete cycle is not going to happen in 1 year. It would take a period of maybe several years. Okay, so it happens to again prosper, and then I mean it happens to recover, and then crossing this x mark, that is crossing the basic investment, and then crossing getting profits is again a sign of prosperity. Then again the cycle continues. Okay, so such a cycle, that is a business cycle, is a best example for a cyclic variation. The last component comes is the last component which we are going to discuss about is irregular or random variation. So if we look into a time series data, we will definitely see that other than this trend, a seasonal or cyclic variation, there will be some kind of variation from year to year. So you can see here, if this is the original data, and from that you can see that the values are slowly increasing. So the trend is an increasing trend, and then the seasonal variations are taken up. It is for a period of long years, maybe some 25 to 30 years the data might have been taken from. Now from this, when the seasonal variations are being removed, you will get a graph which is the residual, that is um, the remains of these two graphs. Okay, so that residual graph is going to look like this. So here you can see that there is no particular pattern which is being followed. So this component is said to be an irregular component. So what causes this irregularities? It can be any natural causes which cannot be controlled by a human hand. Okay, for example, it can be a change in the temperature. It can be earthquakes, wars, floods, epidemics, pandemics. Now, corona, we did not really expect corona to be existing now. But once it came into, the scenario also, we really didn't expect it to spread out throughout the world. Okay, and there is no, though we are trying, our scientists and everybody are trying to control it, there is no particular method of controlling it, and because of which it is that it would fall under an irregular component. The pandemic is not expected to happen every year. It is an it is a new component which comes into the picture out of nowhere. So it will definitely cause some kind of if it will definitely have some kind of effect on the value of the variable that we are studying. Now it can be sales, it can be profits, anything what you take into picture. This pandemic will definitely um, have an effect on that value of variable. So that effect, when we are studying, this residual or the irregular components also come into the picture. So the residual graph is considered as a irregular component. It is not controlled by human hand, but it is always a part of the system. We cannot omit it. So all these four components together is going to look like this. Okay, so um, this is basically our original data, and the finger-like projections which you see, those are causing the seasonality, and we can see that there is an increasing trend, that is a yellow line, and we can also see the orange line which is increasing, then decreasing, and then again increasing and then decreasing for a period of 12 months. Not within a year, but for a period of 12 months, there is an increase and decrease in the data, which is causing which shows us the cyclic variation. And finally, the small variation, I mean, you can see even the finger-like projections are not very identical. Those are having its own properties. So those small variations are caused due to irregular components. So this is all about the components of time series. I hope you all have understood. Thank you.